Hi, guys. My name is Becca, and today I will be talking about fast fashion and the effects it has on the environment, workers, and consumers, as well as solutions to help reduce the issues entwined in this industry. What is fast fashion? So, you might be asking what fast fashion is exactly. Lucky for you, it is fairly easy to understand. Fast fashion is exactly what it says it is. It's clothing that is quickly and cheaply made. Just from this definition, it might not seem like anyone would want to buy cheaply made clothes, especially with the risk of them falling apart. However, two of the major pulls for consumers are the fact that the clothes themselves are cheap, ranging anywhere from $5 to $50, as well as the fact that fast fashion websites keep up with microtrends. Microtrends are trends that come in and out of fashion, sometimes as quickly as a week. Another pull to buy from fast fashion websites is fast delivery times. This is not always the case. Sometimes these websites are unreliable and you will get your clothes extremely late. Fast fashion is not about the longevity of the clothing, rather the fact that it keeps people in on the latest trends. But at what cost? The first main problem with fast fashion is the environmental impacts caused by its production. For example, in cotton production, many chemicals are required to keep pests away, which cause extreme chemical runoff that pollutes the soil and can cause algae blooms in water sources. The production process of making the clothes causes about 10% of all carbon emissions worldwide. The environmental impacts are nothing to joke about either. It is estimated that the average American generates about 82 pounds of textile waste yearly. That means there's over 27 billion pounds of waste collectively in 1 year. While there are some programs that will take your clothes and recycle them, most of the time this means they will take some of your clothes and turn them into rags, which are oftentimes used once and then thrown into a landfill. The amount of water being used by the fast fashion industry is another major environmental issue. Being the second largest consumer industry of water, it takes hundreds of thousands of gallons of water to produce each article of clothing. And not only is the fast fashion industry using a lot of water, it is also polluting water. The dyeing process is the cause of 17 to 20% of all industrial water pollution. Overproduction. Overproduction in the fast fashion industry is when the store creates more items of clothing than needed, causing those items that don't get purchased to be thrown into landfills. There are also cases where these items are set on fire, adding more pollution to the list of environmental problems. Our landfills are overflowing with clothing that doesn't get bought or ends up getting thrown away because these people consider them old clothing after only wearing them a few times. Unfair labor practices. Clothes are made in countries like China, India, Taiwan, and other countries. The fast fashion law is continually abusing the rights of workers. Poor wages, unsafe working conditions, long hours, and even sexual abuse and physical assault. SustainYourStyle.com stated that workers are forced to work upwards of 16 hours a day, 7 days a week, sometimes until the early morning. And these workers are not allowed to refuse overtime because they're not paid enough to do so. Sweatshops. Sweatshops are one of the main examples of labor constantly being abused. States in 2013, an 8-floor factory building that housed several garments factories collapsed in Dhaka, Bangladesh, killing 1,134 workers and injuring more than 2,500. This is just one example of how unsafe these buildings are. Megan Krantz states over 200 million children from ages 5 to 14 are forced to work in sweatshops. Imagine being 5 years old and being told to go to work for almost your entire day. I don't know about you, but I was playing with dolls, not working 16 plus hours a day. Changes that can be made by businesses. It's important for businesses to realize how much harm fast fashion is doing in the world. If we continue to ignore the environmental impacts, water usage, overproduction, and unfair labor, we will soon be ready to say goodbye to our planet. Here are some ways businesses can change. The website Weavable states that the businesses should be transparent about their supply chains, partner with sustainable branding partners, ensure their packaging is eco-friendly, switch to renewable energy provider, implement a recycle strategy, design new ranges less frequently, create fashion that lasts, utilize all off-cut fabric and material, source raw material from sustainable suppliers. If businesses paid attention to all of these things, we would be on our way to a better future. So those were changes that businesses can make, but what about changes personally? People can change and help reduce the fast fashion. One way people can help is to start buying less clothes. The fast fashion industry purposely makes their clothing cheaper so people will buy more products. Another way people can help is by giving their old clothes to a donation center. Shelters are another great place to take old clothing because you know that the clothing is going to people in need. An additional example is swapping clothes with friends or family because in the end, you can always get your original clothes back. Adding on to the last slide, instead of buying clothes from the fast fashion industry, people can purchase clothes from thrift stores or possibly rent clothes from stores. Some stores even offer a place to recycle clothing. If you recycle clothing, it's going back into the environment to be reused rather than tossed into our landfills, contributing to waste. Old clothes can also be turned into DIY projects or even cleaning products around the house. For example, old socks can be turned into a dusting supply. Lastly, try to wear clothes for as long as possible. Many people like to buy staple items that can be kept around for years. If you stick to the basics, it is easier to not fall into the overconsumption surrounding microtrends. Today, I shared with you the problems that arise with the fast fashion industry, as well as ways you can help to resolve these issues.